Although the primary focus of this program is reading, I do want to talk a little bit about letter formation. Letter formation is something that our new school students can really struggle with. And it's something that is very hard for teachers to support and help and intervene with. There isn't a lot of time given over to handwriting and letter formation in the early years. And with a class of 20 to 30 students, it can be tricky for this teacher to make sure that every student is starting their letters in the correct place and forming them correctly. What then tends to happen is students look at the letter, they see the shape of it, and they figure out how to make it look kind of like the right letter. And they're usually pretty good at it, but they're maybe not writing it in a very efficient way, or a way that's going to support their phonics and the phonemic awareness. So, if you have the bandwidth to help your child, your young child, with letter formation at home, take the time to do it. It is worth it, particularly in that pre-K, kindergarten, first grade year. Beyond first grade, I tend to find that habits have been formed and it can be really hard to break habits unless a child's writing is illegible or particular letters are completely illegible. I tend not to spend too much time trying to intervene and fix letter formation beyond the end of first grade, second grade. So one of the big things to think about with letter formation is where on the page or where within the letter are we going to start the writing. I really like the Foundations and Wilson reading programs system for this. They come up with 4 and point 1 starting points for the letters. They have our skyline letters, which start tall. So these all start at the top, up tall, and come down first. So we've got T and B. F starts with a little hook, L, H, K. Then we have our plain line letters. These all are half the size of our skyline letters, but again, they start at the top of the letter and go down first. The next set of letters are called the plain line round letters. These again start on the plain line, the same as the plain line letters, but this time we're going to fly backwards, away from the rest of the word first and curve round. I really like using the letter C as a starting point for these. When we have a really nice letter C, we can write O, we can write A, we can write G and D. Particularly when we've got the B and the D, if we start our D with the letter C, we're not going to write it backwards, which is very common. B and D are such similar letters that we get them flipped around all the time, and that's why, is because they're so similar. But if we start them in the right place with that letter C, it's nearly impossible to write your D backwards. E is a special letter. It's the only one that doesn't start on one of our 4 lines that we have with this system. We start just below the plain line and fly forwards first and round. And then we have our plain line slides. Again, these all start on the plain line, and these all have a slide in them. They don't all start in the same direction, but they slide in some direction. And practicing that slide is a really great skill because that could be tricky. So plain line, plain line, plain line, skyline, and extra. So there's only really 3 starting places that we need to focus on. Once we've figured out the starting point, we're going to practice. Get that letter formation control. This is a really great book that I love from Lakeshore Learning. It's dry erase. It's very clear. There's no extra nonsense on the page that's going to distract. We've got the letter at the top. We've got a couple of words that start with that letter. And then we've got a bold traceable. We've got some dotted traceables and some nice clear lines to write our own on. I would just use this to practice. Another resource I think is also from Lakeshore, but I think you can get these on Amazon. This one I think might be from Amazon, is this magnetic board. It's got little ball bearings inside it and a special pen. Has a number next to where you're supposed to start the letter. Tip it back a little. And a magnetic pen. This gives you a really good tactile response because those balls kind of pop up as you're writing the letter. And then you can press the balls in to erase the letter. It is a little bit jerky, and so this is good practice alongside other strategies. I wouldn't use this as my only method of practice. Have fun again with letter formation. Have them write it really big on a window. Have them paint the letters on a fence. Make them out of Play-Doh and then squish them around in the right shape. Write them with their fingers in sand. The key parts that you want to focus on are where they're starting to write the letter and the direction that they head in next. So whether they're curving back and around, whether they're going straight down, or whether it's one of those slide letters. A little bit of support with this can make a huge improvement in those early years as your child is trying to figure out how to write each of those letters.